Hey, welcome to Fun Friday with Pastor Josh. Fun is something that provides mirth or amusement, enjoyment or playfulness. We're going to talk about what fun looks like today and maybe even get into some fun on this edition of Fun Friday. Hey, welcome to the podcast today. We've been having a run-on conversation about what God's been doing in my life through all this stuff, and so it's been really good throughout the week. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's been great for me to be able to share it with you, just what God's been doing. And so today is Fun Friday, and so I wanted to share some things with you. I mean, through this COVID stuff, one of the biggest things is I feel like we're grieving, and I don't want to diminish people who've lost loved ones or anything like that. But I would say that I think there's a level of grief that everyone's experiencing on some level or another right now. Because we are all experiencing a loss. And when you experience loss, that's a deep grief. We're all grieving the loss of things like vacations and things like that. And that's kind of what I want to talk to you about today. Fun Friday, I want to share some vacations that we've been on that I've just really loved, I really enjoyed. Because truthfully, I think one of the things that I'm grieving is that we had a trip scheduled for end of May, beginning of June to go out to Seattle and to take Enum and Christy and I were all going to go because it was Christy's grandma. It was her 90th birthday. And so there's like this big family reunion out there, and so we're going to take Enum out and go out for a longer time, and we're going to go to a baseball game, and we're going to do all this stuff. It was going to be great for like a week. And all that got canceled because of everything going on. And I don't want to diminish that. I know we had to cancel it, right? There was no choice, but we understand it. And how many of you know that with grief, it's like you might understand the loss of a loved one or a loss of something, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the pain just goes away. And so you're trying to figure out how to navigate all that. And so one of the things that our family loved to do before COVID stuff, honestly, was we really enjoyed planning vacations and taking vacations every year. And so, it's something we're kind of grieving a little bit this year. It's something that we've experienced loss in, and I'm sure you can relate to some of that. And so I want to just share maybe just a nostalgia thing, just kind of a reminiscing. I want to share some cool vacations we've taken, and maybe give you a little, some ideas if you're looking for some ideas at some point when everything starts opening up. Like for us, we love Disney stuff. Like we love taking Disney trips. First time I ever did a Disney trip was when Christy and we just got married. And so our honeymoon, we went to Disneyland, which, believe it or not, that was a great place to go for a honeymoon. A lot of honeymooners do that. A lot of fun. That was where I rode my first roller coaster because I'd never ridden a roller coaster previous to that. And so my first roller coaster was California Screamin', and it was awesome. It was screaming. It was great. Now I think they call it the Credit Coaster. But we just had a lot of fun, and loved Disneyland. On one of our trips recently, I think it was coming back from Israel, we stopped for a day and did Disneyland there on our way home. And I don't remember I think it was actually before that even. Christy and I taken a trip, like a 2-day trip down there, just kind of a short vacation, just the two of us. I think it was an anniversary trip, actually. And we went and did a tour at Disneyland called Walking in Walt's Footsteps. So it was Walt Disney tour. So we got to follow our guide around the park, and he gave us an earpiece so we could hear what he was saying. And then there were several spots throughout the tour where they'd stop and they would play an actual clip, like an audio clip of Walt speaking. And so we got to hear his initial Disneyland like opening speech. And I tell you what, it brought me to tears. I mean, just how he communicated why Disneyland exists and all that kind of stuff. It was cool to hear him telling us. It was kind of emotional, like you felt like you were there, because we even stood where he gave the address. So it was quite surreal. But it was kind of cool, too, and one of the reasons why I love Disneyland, and people always ask me, do you like Disney World or Disneyland better? It's apples and oranges. You can't really compare the two because they're so different. Disneyland is vintage. It's originality at its core, and I love that because it's the only park, Walt Disney Park, that Walt Disney actually walked in. And so he actually set foot there. He has a place there. We actually got to go up into the place where he lived, him and his wife. And that's not open to the public, so the only way you get to see it is through this tour. And so it was really cool. It really was. And so one of the things we loved about Disneyland is we just loved the originality, the vintage nature of it. So there's a lot of cool things there. So feel free to comment below, send me a message, ask me if you would like me to give you some TripAdvisor advice. I mean, I can give you some unofficial stuff of where to go, things to eat, things to do. It's kind of fun. Disney World, love Disney World too. We've been there twice. We did it as a really big family vacation one year, and we went at the end of General Council last year, I believe it was. And so people ask me what my favorite park is. I don't necessarily have a favorite park there, but although I would say that I think Hollywood Studios is doing a really good job of reinventing itself. It kind of wasn't super great for a while, but now they've got several new areas. We went to Toy Story Land when it first opened there. General Council, we went and rode the Slinky Dog roller coaster, which was like one of my favorite rides now. It was really good. So anyway, so I would say Disney, we love Disney trips, but Disney trips aren't really restful. They're a lot of fun. So if you're looking for like a fun vacation, Disney's the way to go. But it's not really restful because you're walking all over the park. It's kind of high energy. Like it takes a while to get through all that stuff, and it's a little bit more fast paced. But we enjoy it. We really love it. And one of the other vacations we've taken back in 2013, we went on our cruise. Christy and I went with her parents, and it was a lot of fun too. We did a Mexican cruise. We went to Puerto Vallarta and Cabo San Lucas, and I think Mazatlan we couldn't go to because it was some sort of unrest of some kind. They didn't want foreigners traveling there or something, and so we just did the two. Loved both of those places. They're a lot of fun. The cruise ship is an interesting thing because if you've ever been on a cruise, I'm not necessarily a big like middle of the ocean person. I'm not a great swimmer. I get motion sickness at times on boats, and so I didn't know how I'd do on this big ship. And so honestly, I think I did pretty well. So if you're motion sick on those ships, really a cruise liner usually it's not that bad. Like unless you're in the top part of it and you're outside, maybe you'd feel it a little bit more up on the top. But I didn't really have a problem at all. It's kind of interesting because the cruise lines usually have everything inclusive. So it means like all your food's included, except for like soda, I think, and something else. For the most part, everything else is included. So like you'd have a special dinner, like you could go to like a fancy dinner like once a day or something. And so we would go to dinner there. And it's weird because you would get up like, or you sit there and get ready to pay, but then you realize that you already paid because it's all inclusive, so you have to pay again. And so like every time you got up and left dinner, you felt like you were stealing the meal. It was kind of weird, but a funny story about it is that one of those nights, I was kind of debating of whether I wanted to do the lobster or if I was going to do the prime rib. And true story, I was kind of debating, and I didn't know what to do, and the waiter says, well, just do both. And I was like, man, this must be heaven or something. Don't judge me. I wasn't as mature back then, I guess, or whatever. But in that moment, it's like, man, yeah, why not? And so I did both, and I was like, that's pretty good. And I'm even ashamed to admit this, but then dessert came, and they had like fried ice cream, I think it was, or something else. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was like cheesecake or something. That wasn't my favorite, to be honest, but then they had like a chocolate, like warm chocolate melting cake where it has like the chocolate cake and it has like hot fudge in the middle. Oh my word. That was like, I still wish I could make that today. That'd be amazing, but probably wouldn't be good for me. But anyway, so I was trying to debate between the desserts, and he says, well, why not do both? And so I did both. I'm telling you, like, the growth of my waistline after that. I could tell I had a physical body, but other than that, it kind of felt like heaven. It's like, man, you could have lobster and prime rib, and it was awesome. But that was all inclusive, but I would just say, be careful. I mean, you don't want to, self-control is necessary to go on a cruise. So, but it was fun. That was more relaxing than I would say than Disneyland was or Disney World. So just two different kinds of vacations. We loved them both. We also love going to our Glacier Bible Camp and hanging out there during the summertime and whatnot. But so I'm looking forward to being able to get back together, and so I encourage you. It's okay, I think, to start thinking about some of that stuff. Start dreaming. Start telling us some stories. Feel free to comment below. Tell some stories, some vacations you've taken that have been impactful or restful, or some of your favorite ones. We can make it a good place to review some different places to go. So thanks for joining me for Fun Friday, a little bit of TripAdvisor today, and I look forward to next week and what God has in store for us as we journey through our week and really during this whole time as we try to figure out what life looks like in this new normal and living to be the church, loving one another, and seeing His kingdom be made evident in our lives. So blessings on you. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later, hopefully on site or online this Sunday. Look forward to seeing you somewhere, someplace, some way. Blessings on you.